My name is Jon Mayer. I'm head of exterior design here at Volvo Cars, and I've had the pleasure to lead the team in creating this new EX30. I'd like to take you a little bit through our design thinking and process when we design an exterior. We approach this from a simple principle of a first read, second read, and third read. Now what I mean by that is a first read, the impression of the car that you see from a distance, maybe about 100 meters away. At first glance, you're met with a small Volvo that carries the presence of a larger SUV. Its long wheelbase, large wheels at the corners, and nearly equally short overhangs help bring balance and refinement to the exterior design. Now that long wheelbase is a principle of identifying a fully electric car. With that platform being fully electric, this allows us to create more versatility with a wheelbase. What that means is to really stretch the wheelbase and open up the space to create as much interior volume as possible. For us to balance out the design of a long wheelbase, we've increased the size of the wheels in this EX30, both to add more comfort, stability to the car, and impression of balancing out that proportion. So the second read on the EX30 is when you get a bit closer to the car. It's about creating the right character, the right expression. Now as designers, we take inspiration from the world around us, usually architecture, nature, product design, even graphic design. For the EX30, especially around the front end, we took inspiration from the film and movie industry, specifically around sci-fi helmet design. Now the purpose about this was to really create a visual closed shield that was both expressive and confident. This is displayed here in the front end very clearly. You can see these contained volumes that link from all the way around the shield containing our iron mark, and that architecture sets up a confident, fully closed modern expression of an electric vehicle. With this contrasting black band, it actually has a bridge here to our signature light in Thor's hammer. Now, in the principle of form following function, every detail is considered. So for example, in this contrasting black band throughout the lower, where we house quite a few of the car's sensors that provide even more safety for your car, they're seamlessly and flushly integrated to the front end design. Now talking about the third read is when you get even closer and look at the details. So that's the details that are inside the lamp with texture, ribbing, integration of the technology, especially around Thor's hammer. We've approached this from a symmetrical attribute, meaning we have modules that provide light on the road both equally displayed above and below the lamp. So at the nighttime, we get an even stronger and thicker Thor's hammer identity. We've also played with the use of texture and materials around the lower of the vehicle. So through the lower, you can see this textured pattern that gives presence to the car and balance for that third read to gather and capture attention as you even get closer to the car. I'd like to illustrate a few of these things on the rear of the vehicle of the EX30 as well. In the rear end design, we followed a similar principle as the front. For the second read of the car, so when you get up close, you really recognize a nice homogeneous relationship between the architecture setup in the front and a similar setup with the shield in the rear end. Now this shield is framed with two black bars that link to our signature vertical tail lamps. We've added segmentation in the lower lamp and the upper lamp to really bridge them together as a very nice identity throughout segmentation for our vertical rear tail lamps. Now with form following function, again seamlessly integrating functionality, this black band helps to stretch the width of the car visually, but also seamlessly integrates our power-operated tailgate button. It sets a nice architecture to the framework for the rear end, similar again, tying the whole thing together from the front end design to the rear end design. So following our principles of Scandinavian design, I spoke earlier about form following function in a physical attributed part. However, there's also the aspect of visual function, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So when we start our design process for the EX30, we started with a solid mass or volume. We then carve away areas, mostly illustrated here specifically around the body side, where we break up and graphically divide the body, but to carve away and show solidity. So it's almost like you're machining from a solid billet or block. Now this creates a feeling subconsciously to create a certain robustness and strength throughout the impression of the exterior design. And this is captured in different areas along the body side, also on the hood, how we carve these volumes away. This also helps to communicate visual safety in design. Now lastly, I wanted to talk about aerodynamics. So that's most commonly referred to in a CD value, or a coefficient of drag, but what does that really mean? So a coefficient of drag is a measurement of an object, the resistance of an object in a fluid motion. Now, air acts like water. It's very stubborn. So there are multiple ways to approach aerodynamics. For me, at Volvo, the best way is to make it seamlessly integrated into the design of the car. You can think of air acting like water. If you were to take a very solid, sharp-edged brick and push it through the water, you would immediately see the turbulence. So the best aspect of aerodynamics is really how you control the front-end design so that the air moves seamlessly, flows around the vehicle. And one example in the EX30 is what we call an air curtain. So this enables such a short front overhang and the air to flow around the vehicle undisturbed. So the air is pushed very nicely from the closed integrated shield in the front end, passing through this cavity, coming out of the wheel arch. Now this helps the air to attach immediately around the wheels and down the rest of the body. Another big factor in the exterior design development is when it comes to wheels. Now the best aerodynamic wheel is one that's fully closed, has no disturbance, and honestly no design. However, that wouldn't really work for the EX30. We still have brakes which need ample cooling, so we came up with a concept of adding inserts to our wheels. Now an insert is illustrated here, where we reduce the weight of aluminum for the wheel design itself and use an insert cover. Now this point of this cover is really around aerodynamics. It's to close off as much of the wheel as possible, allowing ample brake cooling in certain areas, but to create a stable flow around the car. Now visually, this helps to actually pull the spoke design into the center and hide the traditional bolts, which are underneath. This cover can be removed if desired by our customer, but it really is something that enables the best aerodynamics around the EX30. And of course, the whole point of good aerodynamics is to add more range in an electric vehicle.